Okay, hello. I'm just updating MUZBOZ base game to version 1.2, where I've added in, I think, a pretty good foundation for a save load system that works for this particular game, Stealth Heist, and it saves and loads in a sort of a quick save, quick load, totally save the game state of the gems and the balls and the player and everything, and quick loads them effectively. I mean, you use the menu, but it sort of just does a snapshot of the states, not like a checkpoint thing or anything. So let's have a look at that, and I'll put up the new version for that. I think this pretty much puts in most of the core stuff I wanted. So I've left the music thing in there, hopefully that's not too loud. So it's also got hiding and showing the mouse cursor, which is just a matter of putting it in. I've also made it so you can build the project, and I've just tested that a bit so that seems to be working nicely. So in the game manager there is handle mouse cursor lock state, and it just checks the game state. If you're in game, then hide and lock the mouse cursor, and if you're not, then you're in one of the menus, so show the cursor and make it visible. And so that that works in the builds and everything. So as you can see, the mouse cursor is now gone. It's just a sort of a keyboard based game. Now you can save it. If you hit escape, the mouse cursor appears. We can save. It says over there there's a comment, game saved. Now if I get detected, let's grab a gem. It doesn't work totally perfectly. Like if I grab this gem and then go load, the player grabs that gem, which was sort of under me when I loaded it. So I'm not going to bother getting that perfect, because it depends on the game that you're making anyway, about the little finessing and nuance of quite whether you want to disable the player, like when you're loading, or what order to sort of get all that in so it works really well. I don't want to complicate it by bothering with that sort of stuff. So we'll grab that, and then if we load, we're back where we were. Load, we're back where we were. Load, we're back where we were. Gems left is up in the top corner there. That's getting saved, so I've got 2 gems left. If I load it, I've got 3 gems left again, because I didn't have this one here. The exact state of these guys, so I'll save here, and we've got that red guy following me, and then he turns up there and chases me. I'm not actually, did I save or load just then? Whoops. Gonna keep hitting save when I'm meant to hit load. So we'll grab this gem. 0 gems left. The little comment says game 1. So if I load again, all the guards are in the same state. They've got the same paths that are restored. Their lights are, all the right setup. So everything should be working now, and you can see if I go quit also works when you make a build. Let me just stop it. There's no way to sort of quit out of the level at the moment and go back to a main menu and stuff like that. I didn't sort of bother with that because that's going to be a little bit game specific too, I guess. So these balls are all bouncing around. Let's go save. Now you can see that they bounce off and hit each other like that. Let's go load. So this one will fly across the middle and hit that ball on the right again. Let's go load. So all their rigid bodies and velocities and the positions and stuff are saved. A lot like when you go pause and play, but it just has to save and load a few other fundamental things about them as well, like their transform and everything. Okay, so I think that kind of explains what's in there. Is there anything else I'm forgetting? Let's have a look at some of the code. So so when it saves and loads, this is the save data format. It's got like a block of data for each entity, bouncy balls, gems, players, etc. And so for each of them, say like ball data, let's have a look at ball data. So that's down in the game specific code. is it in, I think it's in the top of here. So this is the ball behavior script, but I've got ball data class at the top there that contains a hidden serializable field, a serialized transform. So I had to make my own data type for a serialized transform because it's not the complete transform class, it's just transform position and rotation. And so I've made various specialized serialized vector 3s and transforms and things for all these things that save all the information you need to save and restore, like their rigid body velocity, rigid body angular velocity. And then each entity knows how to prepare its own save data. So in this case, this is a simple object. All it does is it serializes its own transform. And it's in this utils class, so let's have a look at this. So I've got a utils class which is sitting in there as well. There's basically a whole bunch of different structs. So there's like a serialized transform, which is actually a sort of a little package of some other classes I've made, which are a serialized vector 3, a serialized quaternion, and another serialized vector 3. So a serialized vector 3 is just a custom sort of float x, y, z joined together, and a quaternion's got 4 values, and I can join them all up to make a serialized transform, just to sort of pass it around a little bit with less typing, not having to send all these around each time I want to send a complete transform. These are the actual functions for converting from one to the other. So a serialized vector 3, this one returns a serialized vector 3 from a normal vector 3, and I've got functions that go the other way too. There's also, like, you need to be able to serialize a color with your own custom format. So it's basically just using the data which makes up that thing, like the RGBA values. You can't just serialize a color 32 because a color 32 is a class which has, you know, methods and all different things in it. So you really just need to make your own little package that just contains the relevant data, which you can adjust, you know, make your own, or add in other properties if you're making your own sort of structs and things specific to your game. But these do cover a fair few things. Like here I've got it returns a navmesh path, it deserializes a nav path from my custom format, serialized path corners, back into a nav path. So if you want to save like the current path that a character's on, that all gets written out to the file. You can quit the game and everything, and when you load it back up, it'll save. It'll bring the path corners back in and turn them back into a path and give them to that character so they can continue on exactly like they were when you saved it. Let's actually have a look. Is there a way to quickly jump to... Let's go like this. Where's the opposite one? Up. Deserialization methods and serialization methods. So the path one here. So here we want to, it's an array of serialized vector 3s. So again, I'm using my serialized vector 3 thing here. And here it gets the path of the NPC and turns them into an array, which you can get from this path.corners. Path corners. So anyway, I think that's enough on that. I wrote that a while ago, so I'm just refreshing myself on it as well. So yeah, the save load system goes through and here's the save process. So it talks to the level manager and says, you know, let's stick in the save data, how many gems remaining. Let's ask the level manager to save the player, get the player. So basically for each of these it goes, the level manager has the reference to all the entities, and so we go, hey level manager, can you go through all the players and tell them to prepare their own save data, and then do that. Gems, hey level manager, can you go through all the gems and tell them to prepare their save data. So here we've got the gems, they just need to do their own transform as well. Often they can return all of their own data, and that they might just have some functions that need to, use those specialized serialized structs. So it can pass in its own data like is active equals true or false. That doesn't need to be especially serialized because it's just a bool, so it can just sort of do itself without mention, but it does need to turn its transform into a serialized transform. Let's have a look at another one. So where is it? The player one. So I think the player one's going to have a little bit more to it. So, oh, not really. Sorry, I think the NPCs have a bit more to them. So when we... Sorry, did I just click on gems? I thought I clicked on NPCs here. When we ask an NPC to prepare its own save data, it goes, okay, well, my data is all of these things. I've actually got a bit of data. Let's try to get it all in here. So they've got all these things, and a lot of them can be passed directly over. Like floats, it can just pass. These are sort of living, live, literal data. So its rotate speed is 150, and it can change at runtime potentially, but it's always going to be correct. So it can just pass over, return my data to the save data. But at the time of saving, anything that isn't sort of literal and live, like all these floats, they're all fine. But then it goes, there's some things like its transform and its idle color and its chase color and things that it needs to prepare beforehand by turning them into one of these util.serialize, formats, colors, transform, vector3s, or the nav path. So they're the things that need to be taken care of especially. And so each entity knows how to do those things to itself in its prepare save data function, so they all need to have one of these added. They also generally call an initialize when they load. So it'll load in the save data and then it'll initialize, which will do things like the opposite. It'll deserialize the save, any of that special save data back into its kind of current, transform or color, etc. So in the save load system, that's saving, and it also pauses and unpauses the game. And in the load process, it basically, like, it's also got the stuff here where it serializes and deserializes to the file, so you can use that stuff if you want. Obviously, it's just a file stream binary formatter stuff. And then it goes through and restores via the level manager again. Let's have a quick look at that level manager. So in the game, we've got I've just got to find it. Let's go level manager. Where is that located? It's been a while. In entities. Okay, so yeah, entities has all those, the players, the enemies, the gems, the bouncy balls. Let's open them up. So it's got all that stuff in there, and the level manager has a living list of all of those things. Now in my example game here, those things are all sort of fixed. Nothing is spawned while playing, and I don't currently support, say the player runs around and they get some pickup where they can launch cannonballs or something. Well, then you'd want to be able to launch cannonballs, and something would need to track which ones are in the world and save them if need be. And when you load a game, it would need to go, oh yeah, like these things are already maybe in the level, so we can update them based on the save data, but also the player had launched 3 cannonballs, so we need to spawn them in and then make them match the save data as well. So this doesn't support that. This is it only goes through the existing objects that are in the level, and it also doesn't support destroying objects at the moment. So if you had a game, like when you collect gems, they just become disabled, but they're still there. So if you load a game, it can still go through the 4 gems and toggle them active or deactivated, based on the save game data, because they're all still they still exist, they haven't been destroyed. So if you were shooting enemies and destroying them, for example, and then you go load game, that would also sort of need to do the thing that isn't supported in my system, you'd need to kind of diff it and go like, oh, I've only got 2 enemies here, but in the save game there should be 6, or there should only be 1, so I have to either destroy 1 or spawn some more. So that's something you'd need to add as well. In my game that I'm going to embark on next, called Secret Keep, I may need to support that, or I may not. So I'm sort of just not worrying about it for now until I maybe implement that in the actual project that I'm going to start. And once I understand it better, maybe I could update this as well to reflect that. We'll see. So what else? Yeah, so this level manager keeps track of all of them, and that's the thing that this script will keep going back through and go like, we're loading, let's talk to the level manager's list of gems. Sorry, that's just gems remaining number. Let's go through their players. There should only be 1 player, but let's go through their list of players and restore the data into them and initialize them. Let's go through the list of gems and restore the data into them. Let's go to hang on, saved gems. Sorry, looking at the wrong thing again. Gems remaining number. Gems, my mouse wheel went funny, I think that's what confused me. Level manager, go through each of the gems and restore their save data into them, and then update gem status and initialize. I could possibly squeeze those both into an initialize function. I can't quite remember what I'm doing that. This was the first one that I did, so yeah, I mean, this probably should just actually be in initialize, but that's alright, I'll leave it like that. I mean, it does kind of illustrate that you can do whatever you want in this load system, whatever you need to do to manage this entity, gems. You can handle each one differently, but I think it also does make sense to largely have a format to this and a structure. So you basically restore the save data and then initialize them. Same thing here, except I've just got an extra function to get them ready. Same thing here, but I have another function when I restore the NPCs. I've got another one called update Npc Status, and I think I needed to have that even maybe happen a frame. Oh, it needs to happen after initialization. Oh, it updates their lights. I mean, again, you could probably just stick that in the bottom of initialize, but I think it makes sense for some entities to have a few different steps. Either way, you can think about what you like about that or don't like about it. Restore bouncy balls, same thing. So yeah, that does the save and restore. That's about it, I guess. I mainly just added the save system, learned a fair bit about that whole needing to serialize and deserialize certain data structures or elements. And yeah, I think that it's relatively neat and tidy, so hopefully that's useful for people. You can also make a build, and this stuff all should work. Yep, the options and stuff. Yeah, so if you want to know more about some of the other elements, you can also refer to the older videos in this playlist. But that's the update on what's new in version 1.2 with the whole save load system. So feel free to use that for anything you want. Feel free to pull it apart or use whichever bit of it you want. In the other videos I explain this split between the base game system and the actual game here, where there's the sort of 2 parts. So check out video 1 and 2 if you want to learn more about that. Alright, enjoy. Toodle pip.